Sit! Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Rich Dotson, here with my fellow nerd, Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
Hey, it's just two of us today. Two of you guys last week. I wasn't here.
I know.
And then now Garrett's not here, but nothing's wrong. We just said, hey.
Hey, we got other things to do on Tuesday night.
The Indians are playing on Tuesday. And I can't miss that. And I can't move it to Wednesday.
What are you, ESPN, calling them the Indians still?
Oh, I'm always going to call them Indians. I said if they win a World Series, I'll occasionally call them the Guardians. But until then, that's actually the only second time I think I called Guardians right there. Yeah, they're a tribe. I'm 43. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm already committed.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
So that's my team. Sorry.
I'm going to call them the Guardians.
Okay.
You know me. I follow the rules.
I don't follow any rules. Habitual jaywalker.
I've seen that in action.
Anytime my wife tells me anything, she'll be like, that's against the law. And I'm like, you jaywalk. She's like, that's completely different. I'm like, oh, is it?
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Now we all just get to make up what rules we can follow
what
and
laws
which
you
ones we
abide
don't.
by?
Oh, okay.
I use that all the time. Because I do way too many things that she considers that are illegal. We won't go into them.
That she considers or the law?
I mean, it could be anything. I mean, technically it's a law. I guess, yeah. I mean, not just she, but the government as well. Little things.
Let's not get into them.
We're not talking like felonies or anything along those lines. It's like very
into it.
minor incidences. And it's just
Jaywalking, for instance.
yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Like, oh, you just want to pick and choose what laws you want to follow, huh? What?
Yeah.
So that's my favorite one. But we're back because, the Tribe play on Tuesday and Wednesday. So, when the Tribe's in the playoffs, you get to get used to this adjusted schedule.
We've done it before. We're going to keep doing it in the future.
We've never missed a playoff game because of a podcast.
That's right.
I mean, I love being here. I love talking Dynasty.
Me too.
But, man, do I love the Tribe.
We'll just do it a day late or a day early.
Look at my shirt.
Amazing.
Look at my shirt.
Love it.
Youngest team in baseball, folks.
Yep. That thing's going to be good for years to come because they're the youngest team.
It is. It is going to be good. I have so many Tribe shirts that are not like as good. But I still, I like my Corey Kluber shirts. My Lindor shirt I won't wear anymore. I got a Lindor jersey autograph. I took that down.
He took the money and ran.
Yeah, but he's, I heard a good story about him. We'll talk about from Underdog.
You already told me, actually.
Oh, yeah. But he's like, hey, dude, I need that money.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
So, we're not a baseball podcast. We are a Dynasty fantasy football podcast. We got a lot to talk about, kind of like a topic today I want to get into later is like being stuck in the middle and why it's so bad. I mean, it's something we hit on every year, and I think here we are after 5 weeks in the season. It's a good time to hit on it because it's about to hit the bye weeks. We're about a third of the way through the season.
Crap or get off the bot.
That's it. But before we get into all that, let me give you a quick story about my friends at PrizePicks. And PrizePicks is an app you can get or a website you can go to, and it gives you an option to make some over/under projections and get some action on it. Right? You take 2 to 5 players. You find 10. You find a couple players, 2 to 5. You say they're going to go over or under their projected stats. And you can win up to 10 times on your entry. And remember, you can do this with multi-sports. So now, like Sunday, for example, I'm going to the Browns game on Sunday.
And
then I'm leaving the Browns game, going to grab a quick dinner, and then I'm going to go walk over to the Indians stadium, and then I'm going to go watch them play baseball. The Cleveland baseball team stadium. And then I'm going to go watch them play baseball. First time in my entire life I'll be doing that.
Yeah, that's a fun afternoon. Right
so if I want to take the over-under on like Jose Ramirez hits or Steven Kwan hits, I can do that. On top of Nick Chubb's rushing yards, on top of maybe the Cavs preseason Donovan Mitchell shots. You know what I mean? Like, I get wiggity whack on this thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, like some of these PrizePicks props on here right now, some that I see, Kenneth Walker, 53.5 rushing yards versus Arizona.
With the news here, obviously over.
I'm smashing the over.
Taking the over.
They have who's here? Najee Harris, 46.5 rushing yards.
Ooh.
I'm smashing the under.
Give me the under.
Right? Like I'm smashing the under. Lenny, playoff Lenny versus Pittsburgh. Who they're going to get up so much on, they're going to just run the ball out 63.5 yards.
Oh, give me that over all day. He's going to have that in the first half. First half.
Nick Chubb, the greatest running back in the NFL.
He's going to go over on the first carry. Go ahead.
Arguably one of the best of all time.
Right.
88.5 yards.
He's going to bust a 90-yarder on the first run.
That's 2 carries. What are they thinking? He averages 44 yards a carry.
That's 2 stiff arms. Just 1 and 2, and you're off to the races.
Glide 3 feet to the left.
Yeah.
Glide 3 feet to the right. Adios, mi amigo. You didn't know I was bilingual, did you?
I didn't until now.
Yeah, see, you learn something new about me every day. So that's what Prize Picks offers you. Multi-sports, multi-plays, 2 to 5 players. Find the props that you like best. Get on there. It's just you versus a computer. Win 10 times your money. And right now...
And who can't beat a computer?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah. I played chess for a computer yesterday. Put on the hardest level. Won in 4 moves.
4 moves.
4.
That's all it's going to take for Nick Chubb to get that 88 yards.
He took so many of my pieces and swiped the board away. You lose, nerd. I love chess so much.
Yes, you
It's
do.
about this weekend. Somebody's like, how often do you play chess? I'm like, every day. Like, you play every day? I'm like, I play every day. They're like, are you really good? I'm like, I'm slightly above average.
I'm getting there.
I wish I had more time to commit. Maybe I'll read a book one day and learn how to really play. But that's Prize Picks. We encourage everybody to get double their money. Use the promo code NERDS. That's right. You get the Prize Picks. Download the app. Use the promo code NERDS. They'll give you a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. You're doing 2 things. You're getting free money, and then you're supporting us, the website, and the podcast. So use that promo code NERDS. Get on there. Get some action. Start small if you want. It doesn't matter. Get a little action, a little $5, $10 bets on there. And see what you can come away with. Some really, really good props on there. It's still hard to win sometimes because that one guy's going to come out there and get the goose egg. But being a very above average, not like my chess play fantasy football player, you'll probably do better.
Better than most. How about
Better
that?
than most.
Yep.
So let's jump into it. Let's talk about some of these week 4 injuries, shall we?
Yeah. There weren't as many, I think, as we've seen in the past few weeks. So maybe it's starting to slow down. Maybe people are getting into the groove of the season a little bit here.
I would call it to date so far, this is the healthiest year I could ever remember.
Yeah. It's been a weird year, right?
For sure. I mean, some people have been hurting themselves
Yeah.
intentionally, but we're not going to talk about self-harm. We're going to talk about Dynasty. But, right? I mean, like, how many years have we done this where there's been a major injury every single week from the preseason on, essentially? Like, we've been pretty overall healthy with our, like, studs.
It hasn't been, no big stud has fallen that I can think of yet.
Somebody's going down for sure.
We'll
this week.
keep,
We totally
keep
jinxed
our
it.
fingers crossed on that one. But yeah.
Do you believe in jinxes?
Do I believe in jinxes? No.
Yeah, me neither.
Not at all,
They're
actually.
silly.
Yeah.
I'll intentionally walk under a ladder just because.
Just walk past a mirror
I know it's not a jinx,
and
but
break it.
I mean, I would.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one time I was a kid, there was this abandoned factory, we threw rocks at the windows.
That's not a mirror, though.
Oh, yeah.
Just admitting to some of your past crimes
I
that
know.
you said you weren't going to.
Whoa, don't tell the wife. Yeah, but it's not a mirror, but if I got close to it, I think it was tinted black. I could have saw my face in it.
Could have seen your face. Does
The
that
mirror just
count?
broke naturally. So, you want to talk about some of these injuries?
No. Let's just skip them.
All right, we'll be back next week talking week 5 of the fantasy football season. Hope you guys get through these bye weeks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Biggest injury of the week?
I think this is week 5, by the way.
This is week 5.
Yeah, you said next week we'll be talking about week 5. All right, Rashad Penny. I mean, obviously, I think that one's the one that is most topical, right?
Yeah, I mean, he broke his fibula. It's pretty topical.
And it has the most implications for a young running back that we were all kind of anxious to see anyway. So, broken fibula. It sounds like a lot of times they require surgery, and I think he's getting surgery, right? And it's going to be a season
tomorrow
type of thing. Okay.
If you're listening to today, so a couple of things about this that it stinks about Rashad Penny. You know, still he's having an okay year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that him in a contract year is now not getting enough time to really showcase his abilities.
Yeah.
He'll pick up somewhere next year, maybe even back to Seattle. Who knows on a 1-year deal? But now it's time for Kenneth Walker to shine. I think we saw a little of this coming. Kenneth Walker got eased in a little bit more last week. They took a little bit more away from Penny. Took away almost all the third down work. And what's nice to see is that Walker comes in. For me, somebody who was like really big on Walker, who I might have been mocked and laughed at for these first couple of weeks of the season. And so remember, it's Dynasty. It's a long-term play. Like, you had Walker ahead of Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, all these guys, which I did.
Scarcity at the position. That's what pushes those kind of guys up. Yep.
Always will. Because if they hit, you can get any of those receivers back easily. Like if Kenneth Walker like blows up, I mean, maybe Drake London would be a little bit harder to get. You can get Garrett Wilson. You can get Treylon Burks. You can get Scott. I mean, any of those guys. So you want Chris Olave, and I know he had that one big play, and that accrued for most of his yardage because he only averaged 2.7 yards per carry after that big run.
Yep,
which is fine. But what excites me too is what Geno Smith has been able to do this offense. Where in the beginning of the year they were kind of like just going through the motions, only averaging those first couple of weeks about a little over 45 plays per game. Now they're averaging like close to 60 plays per game, I think, somewhere around there. And this is an offense where they bring him in and they bring in a dynamic runner that I was really big on, right? Like he's somebody that when it came to yards after contact last year, he led college football last year, over 1,100 yards in yards after contact last year. We're talking about a guy who makes people miss tackles. Again, led college football, almost 90 forced missed tackles last year. So this is a runner that I like that can run inside, got to the outside edge really, really well.
He had some juice.
Yeah.
I mean, on that big run especially, you could see it. You could see the potential, I think.
So for that aspect for an injury, this is an injury that, puts somebody to the forefront of that I was really excited about. I never wish those injuries upon anybody, but now instead of being a committee running back, and I liked his usage, how they left him in there on third down a little bit more there as well. I thought that was a really good sign. I know Seattle's schedule gets much tougher from the rest of the season on here, so that's kind of a negative too that most people not realize. But this is somebody who can come in. I saw him do some good work there in the preseason, in the combine and in the catching game. But even with DJ Dallas there, I think this is somebody who can come in and dominate most of the snaps. I mean, the fact that we saw him come in and be on the route plays for about 60% of the time was encouraging. I think this is a player that they want to see what they have in. I think it's a learning year for Seattle.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't spend that kind of draft capital, unless you want to get this guy involved, I think.
So he's going to hit the ground running.
Yep.
I'm really excited to see what he could do at the next level. I know the schedule gets a little tougher, so some of the stats might not be as great as I want him to be, but he's going to get the usage necessary to be a running back one essentially the rest of the way.
I'm going to pump the brakes on that just because I know, Travis Homer is going to be involved. DJ Dallas is going to be involved, and most likely in the passing game is where they're going to kind of sprinkle those guys in if they do just hand over Kenneth Walker, like the kind of early down stuff, because it might just be a little bit too much for a 21-year-old rookie to take on that full load early on.
He'll see all first and second down snaps. He came in this week. He saw 100% of those. Said about 60% of the third down plays there, which
he's done well. He's done good with his opportunities. 7 targets, 6 catches. I mean, he hasn't done much with them. I think it was 14 total yards. But
what's the context?
What's the context? Yeah, exactly. Right. How were those just dump off passes behind the line of scrimmage, just kind of bailing out a quarterback, and a lot of times you're losing yardage on that kind of stuff. So who knows?
I think Homer and DJ Dallas will be a little bit involved on third downs. Not all of them, but I think it'd be the same thing, like 60-40 right on there. But still, that's enough usage for me to be excited.
So you weren't on the show last week. I did bring this up, this offense up, and Geno Smith in particular, to Garrett, because I just wasn't sure what the heck we're doing with this guy. And I'll bring him up to you again today just to kind of get your answer on this. Like, I mean, Geno Smith has been performing so well. How do you see this guy for the future? I mean, he's, what is he, like 31 years old or something like that? And now he's on like his 4th or 5th team, and all of a sudden it's just clicking.
I think it's all clear as day. I've been a big poo-pooer on Russell Wilson for years.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy just not, I don't get it, right? Like, I don't think he's that great. Obviously, his stats back him up. It's just clear as day. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett was carrying this guy.
I mean, clearly, right?
Clearly. I mean, look what they're doing now. They're carrying Geno Smith, making him look fantastic. I mean, listen, DK Metcalf is probably our biggest miss of all time on the show. Even then, we gave him a late first round grade, but still, like, somebody that we didn't think would be fantastic. He's been fantastic.
He absolutely has. Yep.
Just very dynamic. His route running got way better. He's so explosive. Tyler Lockett's one of the most undervalued players in fantasy at all times. So I think having those really good weapons around him, two good above average tight ends, and Noah Fant, a very athletic tight end. Will Disley, very solid player.
Parkinson's not that bad either. The third guy
Kobe?
that they have.
Yeah.
Colby
So
Parkinson.
From that aspect, solid offensive line's holding their own for the most part. Listen, it all depends on their record, right? Like, it all comes down to is how happy are they going to be with Geno Smith, is how happy they'll be in position to get another quarterback. Because you mentioned he's 31.
31's a lot of time, though. I mean,
it's a lot of time.
If you think he's your guy, you can have him for another 6 or 7 years. That's Pete Carroll's not going to be in the league another 6 or 7 years. I mean, he's the oldest coach in the league.
I mean, fingers crossed, I hope he's still alive. But for me, I mean, Geno right now, he's doing enough. And here's the thing. We've seen guys like this, whether it be Jacoby Brissett, whether it be Nick Foles, that come in and they play this, and they get these like short contract extensions where they're taking way less, like the $18 million, $19 million a year just to be the starter, right? Because they've traveled long enough and they're just taking that money to be the guy. So I think there's depends how Seattle finishes, and they're in the NFC, which is a little bit weaker. Right now they're playing well enough to win. If they're not in a position to get a quarterback, then they're going to roll with Geno Smith.
From a fantasy perspective, he's quarterback 4.
Yeah, he's
right now. He's right there with Justin Herbert. I mean, Jared Goff is right behind him too, who had a couple of like bonkers games. But I guess that's all it takes to bump you up the list right now. Is it
this early?
And the question is it real? You know what I mean? Is he going to be able to sustain this? Do you think? It looks like he's gaining momentum almost.
I have to see it play out because we've seen this with Jacoby Brissett. We've seen it with Ryan Fitzpatrick. We've seen it with Nick Foles. We've seen these guys come in and have been career backups. And they come in, and for like 5 to 6 weeks, they're playing really well. And we had the same conversation, like, are they for real? Is this their guy's team? And again, a lot of those guys have turned those into like decent contracts for Fitzpatrick, Nick Foles, Jacoby Brissett. Those guys all signed deals to be a starter elsewhere, albeit short term. And in the long run, it doesn't play itself out.
It sure doesn't.
So now, can a player turn the corner in his 30s if given a team? Because I do believe coaching, scheme, and system are everything in the NFL. You know, not some players can transcend that and be good no matter where you put them, but a lot of players can't, to be honest with you. It's a true team sport, and you need everybody else to be on the same page for you to have success. And I think Geno's found himself in a good situation where he's got the weapons around him to help him accentuate his talents as well. So
he made a beautiful throw on the run into his left.
I saw that play.
Yeah,
he's looked great, and he's been in the league long enough to know what he's supposed to do. So in a super flex league for the right price, like he's easily. What did you guys talk about last week? You guys talk value?
We did. I think we were trying to. I can't remember what we end up like landing on. I mean, for a starting quarterback, you're starting with a first-round draft pick. Are you giving that up for Geno?
No.
Because
I'm concerned about what I said.
I think he might have been 2 seconds. I think was where we kind of fell, or a second and a third for sure.
I think if I'm a contender, and usually it depends, but I would say from everything I've seen over the years in Superflex leagues, like most of those strong contenders are like, they have 2 quarterbacks, and then they're pretty weak besides that. You know what I mean? Yep. So like, if I'm a contender and I want to lock up another quarterback and I have to give up 2 seconds, which are 2 later seconds, I have no problem gambling on Geno Smith to get the production I need now, whether it be my quarterback is a really bad matchup the first week of the playoffs, or it turns out this is the real deal and I get 3 years of quarterback production.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, you have to look at it as a short-term win now type of move that could pan out and be a long-term thing. And that, if it does, is just bonus. You know what I mean? That's how you have to kind of look at, I think, Geno Smith, if you are going to try to acquire him in Superflex League.
Some of those pan out. I mean, some of those do. You get 2 to 3 years. And all you can ever ask for in Dynasty is 2 to 3 years.
I mean, I see myself as a contender in a 1 QB league, and I had Justin Herbert and Tua going into the season, and not Justin Herbert, Josh Allen and Tua. And I picked up Geno Smith off the waiver wires, and I've been super happy. Obviously now, especially with the injury to Tua, and who knows what kind of timeline he's got to come back. But the bye weeks are hitting, and Josh Allen's at week 7 bye week, so I only got a couple more weeks. If this is an extended leave of absence for Tua, I'm gonna be playing Geno Smith and feeling pretty good about it in a few weeks.
Yeah, I would like to have. I think I would take him over most of the receivers in the league. Like, I mean, not most, but like if I'm looking at quarterbacks in Dynasty from a Dynasty standpoint, look at the guys here at top. So they have him currently. I know it's not updated now, but Geno Smith at 6 on Fantasy Pros. I mean, you take Geno over Tom Brady easily because it's probably his last year.
For Dynasty purposes, not
for Dynasty.
Yeah.
Top 15, you're taking him over Brissett. I mean, would you? I know this sounds like a stupid question, but like Geno Smith and Russell Wilson.
Well, everyone's going to naturally want to align those two, and I don't know if you heard about. I don't think it's on here. What's his name? Russell Wilson's been playing with a torn something in his shoulder, right?
Oh, really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah. It happened. It happened at some point last week. So he played this whole past week with some sort of injury. I think it was a labrum or something. I can't remember, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. But he's been playing with an injury for like the past 5 quarters of play or something like that. And so another injury for another, for Russell Wilson, it is kind of becoming a theme here a little bit for him. So that's a little bit worrisome. So for me, geez, man, there's so much more of you've seen so much more out of Russell Wilson to kind of say it's Russell Wilson. He'll write himself. You know what I mean? So that's the easy answer. But Geno Smith's playing so much better right now that it's hard to kind of not at least see that and recognize it. So
Russ just got that contract extension. Russ is the right answer.
Russ is the right answer.
Easier,
yeah.
But
But he might not be the one that ends up with more fantasy points this year.
But we talked about this too in Superflex before. Like it's so like. It goes outside the realm that people don't talk about much is you do all you can to get that one stud quarterback, right? You want that one of those top guys that you can get, like a quarterback one with the low end being Kyler Murray of that, right? Because Kyler looks. If I was a Cardinals fan, that was my quarterback to try and take me to the Super Bowl. Like I don't feel good about that, right? But like for fantasy, like he's great.
Yeah,
for now.
Absolutely. Yep.
But after that, like you could afford to stream, like you could afford to buy these guys that come along, like. These Geno Smiths, right? Like this year. You can go out there and get Tom Brady for he's viable now. Aaron Rodgers is viable. You know, like Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Matt Ryan.
Definitely, especially with comments like, I'm not sure, my next year availability will depend on how these wide receivers come around this year. When he says stuff like that, automatically his price starts going down in Superflex and all sorts of regular, 1 QB leagues.
And Geno Smith, guy who's quarterback 6 overall, when some of these guys step up here and there, like you could buy Geno Smith accordingly for probably like 2 seconds, like you said. That's something you could do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more important to find out one guy more than anything else because you can. We've talked about this before. Like you can acquire other older quarterbacks for. Yeah,
for a while it was Kirk Cousins kind of bouncing around.
Yeah, and like
those
first
kind
round
of guys.
picks sometimes for those guys. Like
right.
You could have got Jared Goff this offseason. Now, and we would never recommend it. You could have got him for a first round pick.
Oh, easily, I think.
And Superflex.
Yeah.
And he's quarterback 8 going in this week. So and he's still young. So those are feasible moves to make. And I know we started off with Kenneth Walker going from Geno, and I know you want to talk about that. So going back to Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Probably a high-end running back, too, the rest of the way.
That's how I see him. Yeah.
Do you think there's any window, like, would you buy Kenneth Walker now? That could be an overpay today and an underpay tomorrow. That some people are like somewhat underwhelmed. I know it's terrible timing.
Yeah, this is not great timing for trying to buy him. Last week would have been much, much better. I'm not of the. I would rather go out and get somebody that I know is going to be good if I'm going to overpay for a running back. Do you know what I mean?
I know this is just completely sporadic. Who do you think's the best bang for your buck in Dynasty right now at running back?
Running back?
Like if you're going to go out there and get somebody, who's the best bang for your buck? Because there's a lot of duds out there right now, and a lot of people not. Like
Tevin Coleman coming in and scoring 21 points out of the blue. He's the best bang for your buck. You don't have to pay anything more. No, I'm teasing you.
Because like a guy like Ramondre Stevenson, that's not good bang for your buck because he's going to cost you. Nobody's selling Ramondre Stevenson.
Absolutely. I mean, is it playoff Lenny? Is playoff Lenny like the best bang for your buck because everyone still thinks he's old and fat or something?
We said that in the offseason.
Yeah,
it was like the best bang for your buck.
he was insane then. I think Austin Eckler 2 weeks ago was probably going to be the best bang for your buck because he started off so slow, but now these past 2 weeks he's kind of blown up and gone nuts.
Melvin Gordon.
I mean, Melvin Gordon, I think you're going to get pretty solid production out of him.
For a contender, he's probably the best bang for your buck.
Yeah, I think you know what you're going to get anyway. How about that? It's not going to be high end numbers.
It's going to be a second round pick.
I think that's solid. You know what I mean? It's
from a non-contender. 23 seconds should definitely get. If you have to throw in a fourth on top, like who gives it? Right. Don't worry about the fourth. I'd easily throw a fourth in, definitely in 24 to get him. That was off topic. I just want to throw that.
No, that's fine. That's I think
my buy of the week for sleeper is a running back this week.
It is.
So another injury here. Another running back. Speaking of Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris. He's week to week with that hamstring issue. Hamstrings are tough because they can always come back. He lost his in the first quarter, And I know they started that off with the rotation with him and Ramondre going down. We've seen Ramondre Stevenson kind of take over that third down role, which is really encouraging because we always say, who's the third down running back in New England? That's the guy that you do want. And he took that third round role over like a little bit over last week. And then when he went out, I mean, Stevenson took over pretty much every snap. Like he was the guy there. And then we saw him rewarded with, career high in carries, career high in rushing yards. So he really kind of showed out. Somebody we've been talking about now for over a year in Ramondre. Garrett's talked him up a little bit more than you and I have. I know when we talked about the rookie breakdowns when they're coming out, I know Ramondre Stevenson, Khalil Herbert were my two favorite like low end guys on there.
Absolutely, mine too.
So it's kind of nice to see them both like step up here in year 2.
Yeah, it's a bummer that Khalil Herbert kind of got mothballed this past week with David Montgomery coming back. But
he's back again this week.
Yeah.
So Pierce strong there doesn't overly worry me. They have J.J. Taylor on the practice squad, but I think Stevenson now easily is a must start. That's not a hard part on there.
No. I mean, I think that's pretty. Injuries like this, I know they're obviously unfortunate, and you said earlier we don't want to see anyone get injured, but it helps clear up muddied situations. Both of these, Rashad Penny and Damian Harris does that for both these other guys that are still remaining and kind of the guys. So Ramondre Stevenson, you start him, you feel really good about it. Hopefully in your running back 2, and you might end up getting running back 1 numbers out of him.
Oh, for sure, you can pop
easily.
in there. That'll be this third down ability. I think this is a prime, and if it's not this week, I want to see how long this hamstring injury is for Damien, but I'm starting immediately after I listen to this podcast to send out, like, I'm looking at rosters after this game tonight on Monday night. Like, my favorite thing to do is after every week, I go to league stand-ins and I look at how everybody's standing.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
see all the crappy teams that are considering themselves out.
Yeah, that's the case if I'm buying. Yeah. But I'm also looking for those teams that were supposed to be contenders or are legit contenders. And
I usually am, so that's why I'm just looking at the bottom.
And in the middle there, or like immediately, like, who has Damian Harris? Who's got Rashad Penny?
Oh, yeah.
Were they using them? How, if they weren't, they're running back 2s. How's their depth chart, right? Like, I've been doing this with Damian Pierce now for weeks. Like, not giving away, but throwing it out there, right? Like, because again, running back should always be the most fluid position on your dynasty roster. Doesn't matter who the name is on the back of the jersey, they've got to go.
Stop yelling at me, Dad.
So for me, I think Ramondre Stevenson is supposed to be in the line for a great sell high week, right? Like, find a team that needs a running back. Bye weeks are starting this week, so again, the dynasty landscape, and we're going to kind of get into our main show topic here right after we talk about these injuries, but these bye weeks now, whatever the standings are now, it doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because injuries are going to happen, bye weeks are going to happen, and this whole thing is about to start to change. Who's got the depth? Who can stay current? Again, who's not staying stagnant? Who can make these moves to keeping their roster fluid to stay on top of those standings, right? So I think Ramondre right now, and maybe there's another injury this week, could he increase his value a little bit more? I mean, Ramondre plus a pick on top might get you a 23 first.
Yeah, no, I think it easily could, given, to the right team. They got the person that's desperate enough would definitely make that kind of move. I mean, you said Ramondre plus something to get a first, you might be able to get a, what I mean?
I think a bad owner would take just a first.
I think you can. I think a desperate owner.
There's a lot of bad owners out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you listen to the show, don't be a desperate owner for a running back. Don't. And if you are desperate, hold out as long as you can. Don't make rash decisions. Because then you have Ramondre, then Damien comes back to splitting carries again. He's the third down back, and he's giving you running back 2 numbers. And you paid running back 1 pricing. There's other guys out there. You just want to make sure you test the market fully. But I think if you have Ramondre, I was thinking of offering Ramondre and, like, even if I'm a contender, a second for a first.
Yeah. That's not horrible.
If I'm not a contender and I'm a bottom of the team, I'd offer like Ramondre and my third, and maybe a third next year for a first. Something along those lines. But sure. I think he falls in a good opportunity to sell. I think he's going to produce. I think he's a talented running back, but I think this offense as a whole isn't enough to be.
This offense is real weird, especially this year. I mean, with the quarterback going down, Bailey Zappe's come in and surprisingly looked okay.
As soon as he came in, I picked him up on every league he was available in. I was like, there's such a chance that this could happen, that Bailey Zappe overtakes for Mac Jones. I know it sounds crazy. I know it does. But, like, Mac Jones to me is just so lackluster. Just so
Bailey Zappi, from the clips that I've seen and the bits that I've seen, I haven't sat down and watched a full.
He won.
Yeah, he's looked good. He's looked okay. He's looked like a functioning quarterback in the NFL, which sometimes rookies can come in and look like total dog crap. So I mean, to have a guy come in who he was not drafted, right? Like he was an undrafted free agent, if memory serves me.
I don't know. Yeah, if it wasn't drafted, it was super late if he was drafted.
Right. So yeah, to have him come in and kind of function.
6th-round pick.
I'll take a look at it real fast.
Yeah. So I mean, a running back on this team, it's not just this team. I'm looking for value. I'm looking for value in Damian Pierce, who's like 4th in the league in rushing right now.
Beast mode, right?
Breaking tackles left and right.
He was a 4th-round draft pick. Who am I thinking of?
I don't know. Carson Strong got cut.
All right.
I thought he was at least a 6. Okay.
Anyway, Bailey Zappi looks good, even for a 4th-round draft pick. Still looks good.
But like even Damian Pierce, I mean, there's a league I have Damian Pierce in, and I'm trying to lose. Like I want Bijan Robinson, right? Yeah. So like it's a league I traded away Terry McLaurin for a first and Derek Carr.
You're offloading for picks as much as possible here. Yep.
And I remember like 2 weeks ago, and this is for everybody. I was asking everybody when he was named a starter a 23 first for Damian Pierce, and they're all like, everybody kept trying to offer me seconds. I was like, I took him at 2-2.
Right.
You're offering me a worse second for somebody that's just named a starter. Like what? And I'm like yelling. I
took a chance on a guy.
I'm text message
right.
yelling. No capital letters, but like you just read something, you know the context behind it.
Oh, yeah.
Behind it, I was yelling. Like they don't know, but I was yelling. And I'm getting these offers like disrespect. And listen, for somebody who sends out disrespectful offers, like I have no problem getting disrespectful offers. No problem.
All the free beer.
But I kept writing back to every person like, this was a guy who I took at 2-2 in a deep class, and now you're offering me a 2nd-round pick back for a rookie running back who's named the starter on a team that's going to run the ball a lot. Who's a pretty solid running back, and everybody wrote back, he's not worth a first.
On my roster, he stays. Is what
on my
say.
roster, he stays. So like, same aspect. I'm trying to sell him. Austin Eckler had a big week. What's his value? I'm constantly throwing out feelers on running backs just to see what I can get. And you never know. I traded DeAndre Swift away for 2 firsts right before the season started. And people were like, I don't know about that. This past week, I don't think I was on a show. I ended up trading those in a Superflex league. Those same exact 2 firsts, and then like Evan Ingram, a 3rd, and something else, Tyler Gunther, one of our friends.
You mentioned this last week.
I got Kyler Murray.
Last time you were on, I think.
I just made this trade.
Oh, okay.
I got Kyler Murray.
How did I know about it?
It's super flex. So I basically traded DeAndre Swift for Kyler Murray.
Okay. You called me on the phone.
No, that was I called you on the phone. People on Twitter, they still can't believe I did this. It went 70%, 30%.
That's when you turned on the okay, yeah.
I should probably mention this on the show.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I had an offer. I had to call Matt on the phone. And we had a 25-minute conversation about this, and we got nowhere with it.
We got nowhere. Fast. Well, not fast.
And I'm sure Marcel's listening. Everybody in this league is listening. It's Nerd Herd 2.0. It's why it's fun to be in these Nerd Herd leagues, if you can get them, because we don't open them very often. I had an offer in a Superflex league for Justin Herbert, Matt Stafford, Devontae Adams,
right,
and Stephon Diggs.
Heat
for Justin Herbert.
That's hot.
And my team, and the difference here is like my team's a contender.
Right.
I didn't need those guys. Now, of course, do I want the number 1 overall like fantasy receiver? Do I want the top 6 overall in Devontae Adams? Yeah. But I really didn't want Matt Stafford at 34. And even though I have Deshaun Watson, I really didn't want to do that.
I agree. That's it's not like he's performing well right now.
Everybody on Twitter is like, you have to accept that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call Matt, a Dynasty Mind Respect, and I'm going to text Izzy Alcafas from Dynasty Trade Calculator. Two of the minds I trust the most in all of Dynasty are Matt O'Hara's and Izzy Alcafas. They both give me Izzy said, easily Herbert.
Yeah.
Easily. He's like, I want nothing to do with Dynasty with those other guys. Nothing. I was like, well, I want something to do with Stephon Diggs, but that's whatever. Izzy, you
right.
do you.
Yep.
And then you said the same thing. Like, well, like, I always want the best player.
And it's Herbert.
Yeah. So if you feel like bad about it, just keep Herbert. And I was like, I would feel about it.
Yeah. Like you have to picture yourself sometimes getting rid of the person that you're about to get rid of. And if you feel like crap about it, it's probably not the right move. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's there's a gut factor to that kind of thing.
For like a 3-year window.
Right.
At best, when I have a 10-year window with this guy. And in fact, I was a contender. I declined that trade.
Yeah. Yep.
The guy wrote back, he's like, oh my, you really did decline it. I thought I gave you an offer. You
couldn't refuse.
Because you just offered me Devontae Adams and Matt Stafford. I was like, you're not even close.
Yeah.
He's like, really? Or Diggs. He offered me Diggs and Stafford. I was like, you're not close. He's like, would you want Adams? I was like, I'd want both.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I don't know about that. And then he sent the offer. I couldn't believe he sent the offer. And I was just stunned. And I was like, oh, my goodness. But the way I looked at it is, as well, no matter what.
You'd likely, it's tough because you'd likely, you'd be in a much better position at your wide receiver position. And you could probably just start one quarterback most weeks, even though you're in a super flex.
I have Watson. He'd be coming back.
Right. But Matthew Stafford's down in like the 20s or something.
Oh, I know. He's not doing good.
He's right around 20.
He's not doing all those touchdowns. It's just Cooper Kupp. That's all he's got.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him in a little bit here. And, it just shows you the importance of, in Superflex, Matt Stafford, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert.
Geno Smith.
I definitely, Herbert at being only 24 years old.
Yeah.
These guys are unicorns.
They
are almost impossible to get. So much so, somebody offered me that package. I declined it.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, oh, I'd smash accept that. And I was like, well, that's the difference between you and I, my friend. That's why people sometimes want to listen to me talk.
Sometimes.
I got the manliness to decline. But it's like, you're right. Like, I told him, first of all, you have to drastically overpay for a player like that.
Yeah.
And he tried to.
And sometimes that wasn't even enough, right?
But sometimes it's like the snake getting Adam or Eve, or which one of those people wanted to eat it, eat the apple.
Yeah.
Does the apple look delicious?
Sure it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But next thing you know, you're having sex with your sister.
Gross.
And it's gross.
Yeah, that's gross.
In any religion, it's gross.
That's gross, no matter what.
I don't know. Is there any religion that it's okay?
I don't know. I don't want to go there. How about that?
Game of Thrones religion.
Game of Thrones, for sure.
Yeah, sure. So it's just, it's like, do I want a unicorn or do I want this horse that just run the Triple Crown?
Yeah. It's the...
Who won the last Triple Crown?
I have no idea.
Actually, who won the last horse race?
Don't know.
Yeah, me neither. See,
right.
what's the last unicorn you saw?
I never have.
Exactly.
They're so rare.
So if you saw one, you'd be like,
I want the unicorn.
I know exactly where it was. I don't even know where we got on this topic.
I don't either. I honestly don't. But I mean, sometimes 3 10s isn't better than a $20 bill. I think that's what you're saying.
I think I am saying.
Yeah.
If it's a crisp $20
If it's a crisp.
So these moves, like, I want to pay. We're getting back into the show topic where I'm talking about before. So let's get through a couple more injuries real quick. Where are we on time? We're at 45 or 35?
37.
All right. A couple quick injuries. We'll go through here. Ready? So Chris Olave, concussion, no timetable.
It was clear as day the second it happened. I listening to the commentators on air not know that it was a concussion was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. Everyone was like, he's concussed. And they're like, oh, I don't know what happened on this play. He dropped the ball. Dude went like this. He froze. He dropped the ball. Clear as day he was concussed the second it happened.
Now I'm about to get off topic again.
Yeah, go ahead.
For anybody, and I'm sure this happens a lot for Dynasty players. So Dynasty players are more into football than the casual fan, right? And I'm sure you could say, you're going to back me on this. I would say 80% of these announcers have no idea what they're talking about.
You mean they could piss you off constantly?
Because they literally have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They'll talk about players. They'll do something like, oh, they've been doing this all. You're like, no, they haven't. Or he does. He's really good. No, they're not.
They don't do that well at all, man. What are you talking about?
I understand that's their job, announcing.
The primetime announcers are usually excellent. The in the day,
dude, they have
the guys. They have a hard time sometimes.
And now the color analysts, the former football players, are not bad. But some of these the play-by-play guys, they have no effing idea what they're talking. They'll say about a player, and you're like, that's not true.
I'm sure it's a hard job. So they have to go from city to city and sport to sport sometimes and do all that.
And they're trying to learn all in a quick. And I get it. Right. I understand that aspect of it. I'm just saying, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Sometimes it's painful.
Olave.
Yes. Olave, clear as day, was concussed at the time. And, obviously this opens up opportunities to other people on the team, right? I mean, Traquan Smith, maybe Marquez Callaway.
Yeah, I like to see Adam Troutman get a little bit more involved. He's invisible.
He is invisible. I mean, the other guy,
everyone else is hurt. Jarvis hopefully comes back this week. Michael Thomas should be back hopefully this week.
What was his injury? Knee.
Yeah, I think it comes back this week. And Olave probably miss this week.
You would imagine. You would think that he, especially with all the concussion crap that's going on, they'll probably hold him out.
T. Higgins, ankle injury, banged up again.
Yeah. So this was one of those things that popped up, right? Like it wasn't known throughout the week, and then he came up with this guy's injured type of thing before game, and then he got injured in the game, or was it known? I can't.
I know he was banged up going into it too. What's weird is too. He
was questionable. I think
I was reading like some really close in stats going into this week with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and like how T. Higgins was like leading everything as well.
We went over that last week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was just really interesting, like how good T. Higgins
when they're both on the field together. T. Higgins is actually
number one,
outperforming Chase slightly. It's slight.
Chase is getting the tougher coverage. I'm sure that has something to do with it as well. But it was interesting to say the least.
It is interesting
because you would say those guys are still 1-2, Jefferson and Chase. I've always had Jefferson 1 overall dynasty ranks, but Chase, like, can Higgins, was that 1 year just the magical year? And now it's like Higgins and Chase, and they both kind of do eat each other a little bit.
And that's
kind of hard.
And that's what we talked about last week. And because there was such a big difference between where everyone has Chase, which is 1 or 2, and where everyone has Higgins, which is closer to 12 or 11, 12. And we kind of came to the conclusion that maybe they both need to be kind of adjusted and a little bit closer. Not like crazy.
I wonder if Chase just needs a little bit more time, like in his routes, and that offensive line is just so bad.
It could be.
And Joe Burrow has no time.
Yeah. It's looked at, obviously their record would indicate that it looks like a completely different offense. Completely different team this year.
I hope it keeps dipping so there'll be some kind of dip to buy Jamar Chase. I have 0 shares in Dynasty.
Yeah, me neither.
So I would love to get one.
Me also, I guess.
One. So that's an injury. James Conner, ribs day to day. Darrell Williams left that game with a knee injury.
It's Eno Benjamin.
If both
those guys are injured.
Jonathan Ward's got a hamstring injury.
And I started Eno Benjamin against you this past week because I didn't have anyone else to start, and I won. Beat you.
I was literally telling my kids last night. I was like, "You want to hear some bullshit?" My kid's 10. And so I said, "You want to hear some bullshit?" to my 10-year-old. He's like, "What's that?" I was like, because when Eno Benjamin scored a bound, I was like, "I'm playing somebody." Had no running backs.
None.
So they were forced to throw Eno Benjamin in their lineup.
Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift, both on the shelf. I'm putting Eno in.
Unbelievable.
And praying.
I was like,
and my prayers were answered.
I was like, and that's fantasy football. He's like, that's what it is? I'm like, yes, it's just full of heartbreak.
In a nutshell.
It's like the hottest girl in the school says she can go out with you, and then you show up where she's supposed to meet you, and it's just a poop factory.
It's just a crap factory.
Yeah. Yep. And they put your photo on the door.
Mm-hmm.
The turd, those little turd emojis as a hat. Like, I don't wear that hat. You do now, turd. My kids are very well informed on Turd Ferguson. So yeah, Benjamin. He start him this week if you got him.
Fire him up, man. He's catching passes. He's scoring touchdowns. He's looking good.
Benjamin always looks good for 2 weeks.
I know.
But that's it. He's a habitual 2-weeker looker.
You know how long I need him to look good until DeAndre Swift gets back, and that's it. And then I'm fine.
I swear. Like,
which is about 2 weeks, by the way.
It probably doesn't help that I'm in 20 leagues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, I always end up playing these guys. I'm like, well, I'm in 20. I try to be like fair about it. I'm like, I'm in 20 leagues. The odds are I'm going to face them at some point.
You're going to face everyone at some point.
But Benjamin for the loss. Suffering succotash, said that cartoon. But yeah, Benjamin, again, any kind of sell window. If I can get a 23-second for Benjamin.
Sign me up right now.
Dude, I'll give you a third back.
I scooped that guy up on the waiver wire, man.
I'll give you Benjamin and a third for your second.
All right, so I would do that too.
The move to make.
Anyone out there in my league that wants Eno, come get him. Even right now, when I desperately need him, I will sell him to you.
Baker Mayfield. Yep. High ankle sprain. Seen a second opinion. They fired the coach about it.
The coach was like, "You're fine." They're like, "You're fired. You're running this guy out here again. You're fired."
Rated the worst quarterback in the league. I gotta say something.
Go ahead, man.
This is so hard.
I know. Come on, just say it.
Baker Mayfield.
Just say it, man.
I honestly, I was texting buddy about this. I have no idea what happened to this kid. He was one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen coming out. This is what I said about him before the Browns even drafted him. This is who I wanted the Browns to draft. I thought he was one of the best quarterbacks I've seen on tape. Comes out his rookie year is just dynamic. His accuracy was on point. His arm strength has never been an issue. His accuracy was money.
Yeah.
And then year 2 is a little rough, and here he is again on a 6th coach in 5 years. So like he's
tough, man.
It's tough on him too.
Yeah.
And he is so beaten down. His confidence has been swept away.
Yeah. Dude, it's rough.
He is terrible. It hurts me to the core to say that.
I
almost want to cry.
I know that hurts.
It's emotional.
He is your bae.
Oh my gosh. I won't spend a lot of time on there, but yeah, remember my bold prediction show? I threw it in as Justin Jess. I was like, yeah, Baker Mayfield at quarterback 1.
I don't even remember that because it's just happened.
People.
It just happened so many times that I probably just swept it underneath the rug. But Baker Mayfield, obviously seeking a second opinion, high ankle sprain. Who the heck's the next guy up? PJ Walker.
Yeah, that was Baker drowning.
Okay, when does Sam Darnold get back from injury? Could you imagine being a fan of this team?
Remember when Sam Darnold looked really good? I'm like, dude, you got to give up. Like, this is the beginning of last year. Like, we three were like,
don't even say this.
We're like, you probably give up 2 firsts right now for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, don't even say that out loud.
Oh, nobody listened.
I'm sure somebody did, unfortunately.
Look,
and they're probably screaming right now. It was 3. You said 3 first.
You got to take the wins with the losses. You're not going to win every move you make. If somebody's saying, Rich, you're wrong about this. So it's like, okay, I was wrong about that one. On to the next one. Teddy Bridgewater, concussion protocol, elbow. No update on him, but
1 play or something, and then
dude, again. So my son's playing fantasy. I know we keep getting off topic.
It's fine.
He keeps losing his games by like 1 point, 0.3, all this crazy stuff. It keeps happening. I'm like, welcome to. So he starts Tua. Tua gets hurt early, gets concussed, goes out.
Yep.
He's like, who should I start, Dad? Should I start Justin Fields or Teddy Bridgewater? I'm like, dude, you gotta start Teddy. I was like, Justin's been just so bad. They're barely throwing the football. He's like, okay. We're at the Browns game, him and I, on Sunday, and I'm like, in between innings, so I go on my phone for my update. And I'm like, Teddy got hurt. He's like, no, seriously? I'm like, seriously, he's out for the game. He lost again.
And Justin Fields had his best game, didn't he? Like, he had his most passing yards of the whole season.
He's like, I knew I should have started Justin Fields. I was like, listen, bud. Sometimes the right move is not always the right move. He's like, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, and that's fantasy football. None of it makes sense.
Welcome again.
And then Saquon Barkley hurt his ankle, but he came back in. He looked just fine.
Yes, he sure did. Yeah, over there in London.
All right, so we got to do a couple things here real quick. Got to talk about our friends at Prediction Strike. You know, do you wish you had you bought stock in a guy like Kenneth Walker?
Yeah,
week 1.
Absolutely.
The dollar's down,
yep.
You know, or whatever you want to call it. The ruble, way down, way down.
The euro,
downer. Yeah, not as down as the ruble.
Not as bad as the ruble. Yeah,
it's pretty bad. I mean, you're almost using that for firewood. And you get him, and all of a sudden now he's the named starter. The price has gone up, right?
Skyrocket.
That is Prediction Strike. Right now, Prediction Strike makes that a real possibility to buy low on players and then be rewarded monetarily for their upside. Prediction Strike is the only performance-based sports stock market where you can buy and sell shares of professional athletes as if they were stocks. Prediction Strike lets fans create portfolios of their favorite athletes so they can get even closer to the game. Don't just draft your favorite players, start investing in them. Simply visit PredictionStrike.com or download their app on the App Store to create an account, then deposit funds to buy, sell, and hold shares of your favorite players just like you would real stocks. The value of the players will change based upon the game performance as well as whether other users are buying or selling shares of those athletes. You can trade your shares of players at any time as long as the player isn't currently in the game. Use the promo code Dynasty and you're going to get a free player share of some player. So make sure you get the right one. You know, I think Dynasty players, I think Prediction Strike sticks around and advertises with us so well because our user base, I feel like with the Dynasty aspect, has such a leg up. And
just fits like a glove.
I've heard so many success stories of people like, you know, it's not stock market. You're like, oh, I made $1 million, but like, oh, I made $40. I made $50. I made $80. Just invest in players that you like. So it's a fun way to make, you know, you can buy yourself a couple dinners a year, unless you invest a boatload of money. And then, I mean, for us, you know, we invest $100 and make $80, so we're doubling our money.
Sure.
But that's what Prediction Strikes offer. Use the promo code Dynasty. It works really well with what we offer and through the podcast. And you can use it all year long. All seasons where you really make your money.
That's where you get the deals, but they're still out there right now, too.
Matt, what do we have? We still have some other things here on the topic sheet. We're going to have to skip some of these, but I got to get our sleeper buy of the week. And then where are we at on time?
About 50 minutes.
Son of a... Okay. I only need 10 minutes anyway. So let's start off with my prediction.
Yep.
My sleeper buy or sell of the week. Sponsored by Sleeper, the #1 hosting platform out there today. If you haven't heard it, check them out. Very clean interface. You can host Dynasty Leagues, regular leagues there, and it's absolutely free to use. Sleeper. So my buy of the week, Matt, kind of ties into, and I know this is going to fall into the category of, well, of course, now's the time to buy him. But I've been saying all year, sell James Robinson. And I love the fact that he comes out here week 1, he's able to come back so quickly. And I was like, yeah, but, a couple of those runs were just like 2 big runs. He wasn't efficient besides that.
That's all. I mean, that's kind of where he's piggybacked, or kind of how he's gotten all of his fantasy points this year, just off big plays.
I said sell Cam Akers all this offseason.
Yep.
I said sell once he heard that injury. It just comes down to, again, the Achilles injury. Nobody's ever come back from a running back and been super successful with it.
Cam Akers looks like a shell of himself.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
And James Robinson, I mean, he's a big guy. He's had some big rumbles and tumbles, but he's not explosive at all. I mean, he underwhelmed again this week versus Jacksonville. Versus Houston.
And his share has been going down and down every week as well, right? I mean, his share of the carries.
Under 30 rushing yards,
Yep.
his shares have gone down. So I'm buying Travis Etienne. Now, this was one of my buys in the preseason. I predicted him as one of my running back 1s. I had him my running back 12, I think, right around there at the end of the year because of his pass catch ability. And I know a lot of his production came off a third down. He's been a third down back, and that's kind of the situation he was in this week. But James Robinson is just slowly going to be faded out of this offense. And he's going to be a backup running back, a timeshare running back, kind of like just what Deontay Foreman was, what has been. That's what James Robinson's going to be. And Etienne's come off his biggest game yet to date. I mean, he led this week. He led the team in snaps. Again, I'm not getting all crazy about that because I know that was a lot of...
Those can change from game to game and be game flow.
2-minute offense. Yeah. He was really in there. He got a lot of production there, but he saw 40 snaps there. Led Robinson 72 yards compared to 27, even though they both had 10 rushes on the day. That he still was out efficient in there. In the passing game, Robinson's pretty much non-existent there, but he caught 3 of his 5 targets for 43 yards. So he had a solid game. As this offense gets better, as Doug Peterson kind of really puts a stamp onto it, Etienne's there for the next 2 years, for sure, guaranteed.
Right. And that's without the
5th year option.
If they don't pick up the 5th year, yep.
So why these snaps are slowly going towards Etienne's way, and I think some people might think, well, it's just that third down 2-minute offense he was in really kind of blowing him up. If I had a late first round pick, I was a contender. I've already done this in one league, but that was preseason. I gave a 23 first, what I think should be a late 23 first for Etienne. And you could use a running back right now. And who can't use a running back?
Basically everyone at this point. They're dropping like flies here and there and little nicks and bruises. Season-ending shit.
Would you pay a first for Etienne?
I mean, I think, first of all, I don't think anything less than that will get it done because the person who has it's just holding out hope that they're going to finally come to their senses. So I think I would. I think I would do that, and I'd be betting on him breaking out. How about that? Because, I mean, obviously nothing that he's done so far has been amazing. No. You know what I mean? So I think his timeshare, his share of the carries is going to keep growing, just like you're saying here. And he's obviously getting more of the receiving work. He's a space type of running back. He's a guy that you need to get out to the boundaries, throw him screen passes where he can make people miss and just go. And they're figuring that out. And I think as the season goes on, they're going to find new and better ways to get him out into space and kind of around to the outside and stuff like that. And he's just going to keep breaking big plays. So I think, I'd do that.
I think those PPR
for a contender.
Points
for a
sure.
contender.
It'll be a little bit more consistent. I think he can get to that point where he's averaging anywhere from 10 to 14 points per game. Going into this week, James Robinson was averaging about 14.8 points per game through the 4 games on just being their guy, right? In between tackles, obviously touchdowns help. I have no problem seeing Etienne kind of overtake that and become that number 1 running back in fantasy for this offense. And that was good enough going into this week to have James Robinson at number 11. So I think it's a point counterpoint here. I think my buy is Etienne. You can't sell James Robinson, but the moment James Robinson, I said right after he came back after that big game, we had a big time run. I'm like, sell James Robinson. That was like, here's my sell of the week, I think.
Yeah.
Week 2.
Oh yeah, I think so.
And it's easier and clap yourself on the back for everything you're right about, because it's easier to remember things you're right about than you're wrong about. I'm sure I say tons of things I'm wrong about too, but I mean, I hope everybody listened there, because those injuries are not. I think if this shows us anything over history, because we were somewhat confused, like not confused. Wonder if today's technology could kind of change things and help make players.
Yeah,
players.
No, absolutely.
But I just think the Achilles and I think the patella tendon are just, when it comes to like skill position players,
it's hard to come back from.
Are the Achilles heel of,
so to speak,
the industry. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's just, you can't come back and be a high end player.
You know who scored 0.1 points less than Travis Etienne this past week?
Oh.
Benjamin. Just wanted to rub that in a little bit more.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
So Travis Etienne, my buy of the week. I think you can get him for a late 23 first if you're a contender. And why not get the youth? Because you're probably not getting a running back of his caliber in this draft class that late.
Yeah, I agree. If
All
you're
right.
out in there late.
Last subject I want to talk about. And this is for, it's kind of a sales pitch, but it's not a sales pitch as well. And what I'm going to talk about here is why I think it's important.
What's it going to take me to get you in this car here, sir?
Yeah, and by this car I mean the Dynasty GM.
Yep.
Right, that we have a huge facelift coming to here soon. It's going to be an app, so all our Dynasty tools are going to be an app. So if you download the Dynasty Nerds app right now, it's a mock draft tool, which is fun.
Yep.
That will stay there, but the Dynasty GM is going there. And when I say for the price of a cup of coffee, you could have the best tool in the business in my eyes. And you're like, well, what is it? Why does it help me? There's a lot of little things it does to help you. Like, first of all, you get Dynasty Nerds film room, so you can watch film. You get we have enough rookie stuff on there to really give you the edge above your league mates. You can streamline all your leagues in one spot. FFPC, Flea Flicker, Sleeper, MFL. Am I missing one?
You can't do Yahoo or any of those yet.
Yeah, but you can manually upload.
You can manually upload all those.
So all your leagues and player shares are in one spot, right? They're all right there, and that helps. But the biggest thing I love is the league analyzer, because it gives you a bird's eye view of your dynasty league. And where's the worst spot to be in your dynasty league?
In the middle. We talk about it all the time.
It's the worst spot to be in the middle, and you wonder why people get stuck in the middle, because everybody says it. Like, you go all over the place. People are like, that's the worst place to be, stuck in the middle. We've been talking for 9 years. It's the worst place to be, and it is. It's a death blow to your dynasty team of mediocrity. Like, you're never going to win anything. You're never going to be good unless you literally luck into your draft picks. Like, you hit at 6 or 7, you draft Justin Jefferson. The year before that, you got I don't know, Jonathan Taylor. I don't know, something along those lines.
Same draft class, so I don't think that could happen. But
you never know.
Was it the same draft class?
I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't.
I don't think it was.
Yeah.
Was it?
I think it was. 3 years for both of them, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
But you lucked into those guys.
Anyway, go ahead.
So, like, how do you get stuck in the middle? And it's because you look at your team and you're like, my team's pretty solid from a redraft standpoint, right? But like,
sure.
The problem is it's too hard to look at the teams. And you're always looking ahead who's in front of you in standings. And a lot of times people can't get a grasp of like these teams ahead of them. Like, my team's okay, but can I beat these teams? The league analyzer gives you a view of your entire league from a bird's eye view for strengths and weaknesses. Now, I love this more so, not to even see where my team stands. I don't have a problem really getting stuck in the middle, because either I'm going for it or I'm not. But for trades, it's tremendous. Like, I want to trade for a running back who's got all the running backs, or wide receiver, who's strong, who's weak.
On a nice little bar graph.
It shows you this visually. It's so helpful for the price of a cup of coffee. The league, for me personally, for somebody who's playing Dynasty for 20 years, the league analyzer alone is worth the price of a cup of coffee. a month. It really is.
My favorite part of the tool, I think.
But you get everything we got.
I love everything else, but
yeah, you get everything we got for the price of a cup of coffee. But how do you get stuck in the middle? How do you do it? And what's funny is it's so easy. And here's why it's easy to get stuck in the middle. It's because you're always looking ahead how to compete. How do I get better? How do I get better? You don't look behind. And when you're in a dynasty league, and say the league's been going on for 3 years or more, so it's a real dynasty.
It's established at this point.
It's an established league. Mm-hmm. You're looking ahead, not realizing there's anywhere from 2 to 4 teams that are behind you that are rebuilding, or just terrible, and they need to rebuild, right?
Right.
So let's be in the middle. Call it 3 teams.
Okay.
So 3 teams in the middle, below you, are constantly going to be below you. Constantly.
It's going to be hard to get below them. How about that?
So and say there's 4. Right. Say there's 4 teams, right? Then 6 teams make the playoffs, and say 4 of you are just in the middle of the road. Well, the 4 of you are the only teams really fighting out to make the playoffs. 2 of you are going to make it, and 2 of you aren't.
Yep. And
you're going to keep going through that pattern. And nothing's more trickery to your eyes in Dynasty that you made the playoffs in your Dynasty league, and you're like, yeah, I made the playoffs. I'm pretty good. Well, half the teams make the playoffs. But the middle of the road teams that make those playoffs, it's you're just there because the teams behind you are so bad.
Artificially, right? Artificially getting elevated, basically.
Yeah, so the teams behind you are always elevating your falsehood of a competitor or a good Dynasty team and making you think you're closer than you really are. And the GM helps you with this. But the main point here is, even if you don't have the GM, is you have to look at that from a Dynasty aspect. What's behind you as well.
Yeah, there are instances where in any given season you could end up picking in the middle of a round, but your team might be much better. You might just be there due to a couple of injuries to key players, sure. Stuff like that. Another thing that the GM could help you figure out, like, why am I stuck here in the middle? And you look at your team, you're way over here at the top of the graph, and you're like, oh, it's because X, Y, and Z are not performing because they're injured this year, and that's why I ended up here. So that's another easy way to figure things out as far as, where you're at or why you're there in the middle. But go ahead, Rich. Sorry.
So if you're stuck in the middle, I mean, you have, and right now, so we're about to be a third of the way through the season. Mm-hmm. This is, I tweeted out earlier in the week, this is my favorite time of the year because the trades are abundant. All my leagues or trades are going down left and right. I've been making a mass amount of trades as well. And I love it. It's the funnest part about Dynasty, is making these moves, right? So now's the time to act to get outside the middle. And it's not just this week. We're about over a 4 to 5 week span here of this window opening up. Where
bye weeks are going crazy. Injuries are starting to mount, and people are trying to get through their bye weeks and trying to line themselves up for the playoffs.
100%.
Yep.
This is where we said earlier in the show, like, this is where true teams start to rise to the top, and those top teams are up there. Like, how are they up there? Really start to fall off because they have no depth. Mm-hmm. One injury, they're done.
Yep.
They have no depth. So teams that are feeling good with a couple of surprises, and they had Geno Smith, and they drafted Damian Pierce at 2-2, and they took Drake London or some along those lines. Yeah, they got Breece Hall. So they have Breece Hall. They got Damian Pierce. So they fixed their running back situation for this year right away. But it's all they have. Right?
Right. As soon as a bye week comes, as soon as an injury happens, they're screwed. Yep.
Or now all of a sudden those teams are buyers.
Yep.
Too. So you have to identify first, before you look at anything else, you got to look inward and look at your own team. Where are you? Where are you amongst your standings right now? Why are you there? Now, if you put in the time and work, you could sit here and go through every single team and figure this out. It's not something you can't do. It's easily something you can do. We built a GM to make sure, because if you're like me and you're in like 20 Dynasty leagues, like,
streamline.
I'm not going through every single league. I need something to streamline that process. It's why I literally had the tool built.
Yep.
For selfish reasons. But I know, like, I'm all of you, right? Like, we might not all agree on the same thing. You might not like my takes. You might just come here for Garrett and Matt, and that's fine too. But like, one thing we definitely have in common is we love the game of Dynasty. Yeah. Like, we both agree. We all can agree on that, right? Like, you might not like my takes. You might not like my personality, and that's fine. I'm not for everybody, but we all love the game of Dynasty. And from that viewpoint, we can agree. Mm-hmm. And that's why everything we do here at Dynasty Nerds is to help make your life easier to play the game. Because that's all we want to see here is the game grow and the game get bigger. And that's been our mission statement since the day one when we started the website. It's like, we want to grow the game of Dynasty.
We love this. We need more people playing this. More people are going to love this as soon as they start playing.
And we were fortunate enough to be around for 9 years before Dynasty even blew up where it was. And people were like, oh, Rich, you're one of the godfathers of Dynasty. And I was like, well, Scott Fish and all these guys were here first too, but I'll take it. You know? I know me and McDowell came up right around the same time, so it was kind of cool. But it's like everything we do is to make the game bigger and easier for you. So when I say subscribe to the GM, you know, when you subscribe and sign up for become part of the member of the Nerd Herd, this beautiful group we have, you get access to the Discord channel and all the tools we give you, that membership money just goes like you're also growing the game of Dynasty. Like, because every membership that comes in here, that 1 cup of coffee, I'm not really drinking that cup of coffee. I'm giving that money to our developer to build more cool things. You know, that's what I do with my membership share of the money. That's what Matt does with his membership share of the money. That's what we all do. Like, we don't do this to be successful monetarily. We do it to be successful in our Dynasty games, which matters way more by winning those trophies.
Yeah.
So the GM, what it does is help you not get stuck in the middle. So by looking in and identifying your team, am I a legit contender? And by that, you don't look at him like, oh, well, I have Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall, and okay, cool. But who are the teams in front of you have?
Right.
Do they have Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson? And
if this is an 8-team league, you might not be in contention.
Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, and Travis Kelce? Right. Guess what? You're not probably going to beat them.
Yeah.
Any given Sunday, you could, but probably not. So do you identify that team saying, hey, this team is going to be good for about 2 years? My team's pretty good, but I need something to really go right for me to win a championship these 2 years because these two teams above me are really good.
They're stacked.
So when you see something like that, okay, the 23 class is going to be loaded. The 24 class is going to be pretty damn strong itself as well.
Right.
Okay, my team's pretty good, which means I have a couple good players on my roster for the most part. Blow it up.
Building foundations.
Blow it up.
You know what I mean? Like,
because you can get rookies right now that are underperforming or not performed yet, like Kenneth Walker. If you have Christian McCaffrey, you get Kenneth Walker plus.
Oh, big.
You have Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
You're getting Kenneth Walker plus, right?
God, I love Nick Chubb.
Best running back ever. And then say your other receiver, Stephon Diggs. So like you have Nick Chubb, you have Stephon Diggs. Your quarterback's Kirk Cousins. Your other receiver is Curtis Samuel. You know what I mean? But like good enough where like you're winning some games.
Good pieces, but are they going to be around in 3 or 4 years and still be good pieces? Not likely.
Where again, if you have two really good players like Nick Chubb or say Saquon Barkley, but say Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler this week, Stephon Diggs, two really good players. Mm-hmm. When you have the players behind you that are rebuilding and reloading, those couple wins, and say you play those two teams twice. Like you look into it, you don't play the good teams twice, you play the lower teams twice a year.
Sure.
Those are two guaranteed wins. 2 guaranteed wins in Dynasty go a long way. Mm-hmm. A long way. When you're in the middle, it means everything. 1 game.
Oh, yeah.
So
all of a sudden you're in the playoffs.
Identifying where you're at in the middle from that aspect, but the big thing here is the bottom teams never really look behind you, automatically push you to the middle. And you don't realize it. That's how you get stuck in the middle, because they push you to the middle. The bottom teams.
And you're an early out in the playoffs, like every single year.
And you wonder why.
Yeah.
So identify those players that you have on your roster. Take a good look. Again, if you have the Dynasty GM, I encourage everybody to, if you haven't at least tried it, sign up for this 1 month. Check it out. If it's not for you, go your own separate way. Know you put a couple bucks into the game of Dynasty. Maybe when we launch all our new things, you can come back and maybe then it will be for you. But I think it's good enough now. It is going to we have a massive facelift coming very soon. So great. I'm telling you, it's going to be, if you think the GM is cool now, wait till you see how it's going to look within the next 12 months as we roll out all these new things. It's going to be on app too. But take a look at your roster and see what's ahead of you and what's behind you. Right. Wow, 3 teams really bad. 3 teams really good. 3, 6. That leaves 6 of us fighting against these 3 teams. Where am I amongst these 6? Can I get to 4? Gives me a chance. Or am I like 5 or 6? If I'm 5, 6.
You're better off being 2 or 1.
1 or 2.
Much better. Sell
these players, increase your draft status, and get young players behind. Maybe guys that are hurt, maybe they're out for the year. Maybe you could get Javonte Williams plus. Mm-hmm. Well, you can easily get Javonte Williams, but you get Javonte Williams. You're getting Kenneth Walkers. You're getting Sky Moores. You're getting Elijah Moore. So you know what I mean? Like you're buying players on the down, the offer upside, or just young players that offer great upside, like the Olaves, the Garrett Wilsons right now. Because if you sell Stephon Diggs, where those guys are impossible to get, even like a Drake London. But all of a sudden this team is now finding themselves contending. Guess what? Yeah, it sucks to give up Drake London, but I'm getting Diggs. He's going to push me over. Because sometimes, even here is what I like to do is, I don't even like to mess with the contenders. I like those guys that are on the cusp, because it's twofold here. I get there first, where this is going to make the team better.
It could go either way.
But if that player gets hurt or one thing goes the wrong way, all of a sudden I have a top 6 pick.
Sure.
Right? I love trading with those players because sometimes it's ended. I hit the number one overall pick.
Yep.
I traded to a contender and they had 2 injuries and turned the number 1 overall pick. So identify where you're at. Can you win a championship this year?
And if you honestly can't, it might be time.
You got to be honest with you. If you use a GM, it's going to show you all from a bird's eye view.
Yep.
If you can't, now's the time from this week going forward, sell. And if you can't get the young players, take multiple first.
Yep. Some stabs. Take multiple darts.
I want Stephon Diggs. You have no receiver you can get back to me. Give me a guy like Curtis Samuel. Give me a guy like Devin Duvernay and give me 2 firsts. Right? Give me 1 receiver back and give me 2 firsts. Does it suck to lose? And look, and here's another thing too. You have to be able to at some times come away slightly the underdog in those trades. Where all I got back was draft capital for Stephon Diggs. All I got was 2 firsts for Stephon Diggs, which is a lot. I don't want to say it's not nothing, but sometimes when you give away a star caliber and you're taking all the risk for guys that don't even in the league yet, it's scary.
It's very scary.
But it shouldn't be because you're doing 2 things. 1, you're getting another draft pick. 2, you're increasing your draft status. That's the most important thing that you have to remember.
That's the hidden one that no one ever thinks about or no one ever quantifies in a trade. Is when you're physically moving yourself up, you're getting that. You're hopefully getting yourself the ability to get that one playmaker because there's only a couple of them per draft. That's a true difference maker in most drafts. And if you can somehow get your way up there by trading away other pieces, it's nice to get that stuff in return, but it's also nice to see your player getting, or your pick moving that much closer to that high impact player.
Bijan Robinson's that good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Superflex's class is going to have 4 good quarterbacks. Jordan Addison's a really good receiver. Jameer Gibbs is a really good running back. This class is deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then don't even talk about Brock Bowers in 2024 if you're a tight end premium guy.
Premium.
Yep. That guy 1-1 right now. But you get better there. I mean, there's teams in our 20-year-old league. There's a guy, he knows who it is, Eric. He has some really good players on his team, but he can't win the title probably this year, and he hasn't won a game yet.
It's time.
He's sitting there with
Might be time.
Mike Evans and Travis Kelce. And I know I throw offers out there. Hey, I'll give you a 23 first. And what looks like it's going to be about 2-1 to 2-3 for Travis Kelce and Mike Evans. Do I expect him to say, yeah, right away? No, but no counter. It's like, dude, you aren't going to win this year. Do not go down with the ship of those guys. No. Take what you can get. You know what I mean?
Mike Evans will be around for another, maybe. Well, Tom Brady, who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
So, but when some people are so scared about getting equal value when they blow things up, and you can't worry about that. You have to get the draft capital because if it hits, and you did it, you've done it many times where you turn your draft capital and now all of a sudden you have Michael Pittman, Justin Jefferson,
CeeDee
Lamb, you know what I mean? And that's what it turns into because now when you use pick 2, obviously they're the same guys, but say you use pick 2 on CeeDee Lamb and then pick 7 on Justin Jefferson.
Right.
Now you're the best receiving corner. You know what I mean? Like, it could be that quick. So that's where that extra draft pick comes. You get that better player, and then you never know where pick 7, 8, 9 are going to come into effect. Or definitely in deep draft classes.
And it allows you, if you have multiple picks in the first round, it also allows you to kind of strategize where you wouldn't be able to waiting a whole round. You can kind of strategize and pick somebody that maybe a little bit higher than you would normally, knowing that another couple of guys will fall at other positions to you with your later picks in that same round. And it's an interesting conundrum to kind of get yourself into, but it can be really fun and really rewarding. You can really, turn your stuff around really quickly.
I had picks like that this year where I had 1-2 and 1-6. And yeah, I could have taken Drake London or Garrett Wilson there at 1-2, but But I was like, I have 1.6, so I'm going to take Kenneth Walker at 2.
Right. And
I'll take whatever running backs, whatever receiver is left. I end up taking Treylon Burks. You know what I mean? We'll see how it pans out. I could have had him, or I think it was Jameson Williams at the time, and I was really torn. I wanted to take Jameson, but I was like, I already have a Jameson share. I'm going to take Treylon Burks. But it's fun that it lets you take the running back compared to the receiver because you know the receivers are deep.
Sure.
But you have a window now for the next couple of weeks to do that. And if you're a new Dynasty player listening, you got to make sure that's not where you're at because it's the worst spot to be in Dynasty. And it's so easy to get caught there because of the teams behind you, and you don't even realize it.
And don't necessarily jump at just anything right now because those picks, we talk about it every year. As the weeks go on, the picks become less and less valuable to those people that are contending, and they're much more, I guess, free to get rid of like a first round draft pick right as we're coming up on the deadline. So if you're not getting your value right now on some of these players, and you're okay holding on to them for a little bit and kind of taking the injury risk, they might become more valuable as the season goes on.
You're right. They will, for sure, because other teams are going to have injuries for sure.
Right.
So they will become more valuable. You just have to hope your players that a guy that come injury,
right.
and you're not left holding the bag.
That's the only thing.
And it's work. But again, this is the funnest part. The funnest part about Dynasty is the work, right? Mm-hmm. Scouting the rookies, listening to these kind of podcasts, then going out there and putting that work to action and making the draft and making these trades. It's the funnest part about it. It's why you listen to this podcast, right? Like to help you through the process. Work to hear other opinions, kind of help build your opinions, and you listen to another one and see what they say. So check out the Dynasty GM. Anywhere you can find an app on there, but go to the website now, sign up for the Nerd Herd, check it out, see if these tools help you, and then stick around. It's already pretty sweet. The film room's, to be honest with you, the league analyzer in the film room are worth a cup of coffee a month. Everything else is just like a bonus, right?
Pro bono.
Not pro. It is pro bono. So that's it. Everything else is free except for those. But those are two things that will keep you busy for hours a day. The film room and the analyzer.
Yep.
Check them out. Let us know what you think. And we'll go from there. I hope everybody stays healthy this week. I hope the GM can help you out. We're going to jump into this Nerd Herd show, which is another thing you get with the Nerd Herd membership. We get 2 podcasts.
Absolutely.
Super helpful in the rookie season because that's when we break down our rookies. You get our thoughts on everybody.
Not only half. You're only getting half on the free show.
So that's it. Anything else you want to throw in the show?
No, man. Go out and get some T-shirts, man. We got a lot of different colors.
I haven't loaded any of those into the website yet. People keep asking.
Okay. Well,
I send a Viking shirt out this week.
Coming shortly.
I'm gonna upload. Check the website this weekend. Your favorite team might be on there.
Awesome.
Remind me to put those.
I'll try to remind you.
The shirts are loaded. I have to put a quantity, but we gave so many away.
Yeah, now you got to go count them, huh?
I'm not good at arithmetic.
Maybe
my dynasty wins.
Maybe I'll come over, drink some beers, and count things.
Ooh, watch a little football. I haven't watched a Browns game together in a while.
Well, you're going to be at the Indians the Indians game this year.
Both.
Both.
All right.
Adios.